and welcome to all of you. You're watching Tech 24, France 24's tech show. With viewership and revenue booming, we take a look at the world of esports. According to the tech consulting firm Activate, an estimated 250 million people watch esports worldwide, and most of them also play. And in Test 24, we try Tandy Cart, a competition-level cart that offers the disabled the opportunity to discover an extreme sport like racing in complete safety. The 2019 Formula 1 Esports Pro Series live grand finale that took place in London crowned David Taniza as its winner. It was a night of dramatic racing action and team rivalry to cap off the biggest ever season since its launch in 2017. Meanwhile, the French Renault Vitali team took fourth place. Our reporter Yong Chim followed them as they prepped for the event.
At the Whiteways Technical Centre, Renault's Formula 1 team Vitality need neither seatbelts nor crash helmets to take the wheel. Their race cars are both high-tech and entirely virtual. But concentration levels are just as high as in the real-life paddocks, especially ahead of the Pro Series final, esports' answer to the Formula 1 World Championships.
It's going to be a very important week for us, for myself and as a team, simply because we can win still both championships.
Jarno hails from the Renault Training Centre. Having made the switch to esport, this pilot and his team members spend long hours in the bucket seat every day, honing their driving skills.
Races are obviously different because you don't have the G-forces, the wind or environmental changes all the time, which makes a difference. But then at the same time, the pressure a bit higher. Mentally, it's a lot more demanding.
And that means e-pilots need some very real coaching. Just like for their traditional Formula 1 colleagues, Renault offers professional players a combination of physical, mental and cognitive prep to keep their reflexes sharp. A know-how that also includes the car maker's technological expertise. Ben Hampshire is in charge of configuring the team's vehicle so it can handle the hazards of the game. Just like in the physical Grand Prix, the key is to capture data in real time.
The onboard section here of the car going around the circuit is then translated in real time to our telemetry over here. So as you can see, as the car brakes and shifts down gears, we're capturing all this data. We can then basically get historic readings and replay the variables, keep tweaking little parts every once in a while, so we can then predict the best car setup.
It's that level of ambition and the means to make it happen that have put Vitality on the esport map in France and beyond. The country's biggest club now has its own offices in the heart of Paris. But for the moment, it's lonely at the top, and Vitality can't support all would-be professional players single-handedly.
As far as training athletes or preparing pro players for the game, France is on the late side. What esports clubs like ours need above all else is training centers, academies that will give access to real coaching, to support for young players who want to go pro.
Now a sport in its own right, esport is hoping to be granted Olympic status, perhaps by 2028.
So what's being done to prepare future esport athletes? Several schools have been created here in France, mainly XP in Paris and Gaming Campus in Lyon, southeastern France. Former basketball star and entrepreneur Tony Parker has also just established his own academy here in France with a section dedicated to e-athletes. Well, to speak more about it, let's now welcome on set our in-house expert, Dan and Jay Cattlecard. Dan, I know how enthusiastic you are about esports. Tell us more about these schools.
Well, among the multitude of courses that are on offer in different French schools includes an undergraduate degree course in video game and esports management at the Gaming Campus in Lyon. This includes the study of marketing, commercial development, management. So basically, it's a comprehensive course related to the business part of esports and video gaming. Then in the same campus, there is also a 2-year intensive course which is used to prepare esports athletes. So this intensive course includes physical training, mental conditioning, and it also gives you an emotional management courses. So if you want to be an esports professional, perhaps this is the course for you. And as you mentioned, the XP Gaming School in Paris, they are offering bachelor courses as well. And they plan to open 5 new schools offering similar such courses.
So that's for France. It gives us a good overview. But what about in the world, in the rest of the world? How big is the esports industry?
Well, according to the gaming industry analytics firm Newzoo, by 2022, the total revenue generated worldwide by esports would be around $1.8 billion. And this year already we have seen a 27% rise in the global revenue compared to last year. Now, this rise has been fueled by streaming platforms like Twitch and YouTube, where millions of viewers can see these championships live.
Now, what lies ahead for esports in terms of technology?
Well, virtual reality is the next big thing, and we are already seeing it in France. The company Smart VR has developed VR arcades, which consists of huge areas ranging from 400 square meters to 3,000 square meters, where players can carry their PCs on their back and they can move around, and this mobility is mirrored in the virtual world as well.
Well, I don't play, but it sounds fantastic. Thank you very much, Tandy Cart. Now, of course, gaming is all about entertainment and competition, but there's also an important social aspect to it, one that should not be overlooked. To talk more about it, I'm now joined by Nicolas Bezaume, who's an associate professor in sports sciences at Paris Descartes University, and he's also an advisor on esports to Global Association of International Sports Federation. Thank you very much indeed for being with us. Now, one of your research areas relates to the process of so-called controlled violence through the analysis of players' real and virtual aggressive behavior. Now, what is controlled violence exactly, and does our virtual behavior influence our real-life behavior?
Yeah, so the concept of controlled violence has been developed by two sociologists called Norbert Elias and Eric Dunning, and they explain that sports, as a very specific regulated activity, can allow sportsmen and sportswomen to express some emotions or some behavior that are usually forbidden in a very daily-based social context. So, to be more specific, if you punch someone in the street, you can be arrested by the police, and if you punch someone on a ring, you can become a millionaire. So the idea of this sports, which is very constrained in space, in time, can allow players to express some very transgressive behaviors and emotions. So regarding gaming and esports specifically, the academic and scientific communities have outlined the fact that there are no causal links between the playing a violent video game or a video game that contains violence and very long-term aggressive behaviors.
Now, Nicolas, are gamers mainly young men, or is the typical gamer's profile actually changing?
If we speak about gaming in a very large approach, it means if we speak from casual gamer to hardcore gamers, from mobile gamers to very PC gamers, or from Candy Crush gamers to Counter-Strike or League of Legends gamers, the fact is now that the distribution between men and women is quite balanced. Around the world, we estimated that there are like 48% of women that are playing and 52% of men that are playing video games. But what is quite different is the way they practice. Women tends to play more time video games, and they don't play on the same platforms. They are more supposed to play on mobiles, on tablets, or when men are more involved in PC gaming and console gaming.
Now, briefly, you're actually pushing for the development of esports in an ethical and socially responsible manner. Why is that important?
Gaming and esports are part of our life now. Everybody can be a player, actually. Without smartphone, everyone can play video games. And there are a lot of worries from the parents, from the public authorities, from the media. So there is a need to educate these communities of players to just play in a very responsible way and to reassure the parents and the public authorities to give some good practices to the players and to make gaming and esports a very sustainable ecosystem.
Nicolas Bezombe, thank you very much indeed for that. And we're going to move on now to Test 24. As we just celebrated the International Day of Persons with Disabilities, we take a look at a competition-level cart that offers the disabled and able-bodied people the opportunity to discover an extreme sport while staying safe. It's called Tandy Cart, and it's quite something, Dan.
Yes, as you can see, it's quite a big cart. It's a powerful cart. It has a top speed of 150 kilometers per hour. And as you can see, there's a seat at the front and there's an empty space at the back. That's where the passenger seat gets installed. Now, the idea behind this cart came around 3 years ago. It was developed by the company Carter Ruxel, and one of the founders, Jean-Paul Carter, he has been involved in building such products that help the people with disabilities. So he has also developed a Tandy boat, which adheres to the same principle, in which people with disabilities, they are given the sensations that everyone else can have.
Right.
And here too we have a similar example. Just next to you is another component of this entire system. This is a lift. So as you can see, there's a seat attached to it. So the idea is that using this lift, the person, the passenger, he's directly lifted from a wheelchair and transported to the cart, and the seat is bolted to it. Now, this cart has been developed by, as I mentioned, Carter Ruxel, but there are a lot of other participants involved in it. First of all, there's the Clinical Investigative Center of the Hospital Raymond Poincaré University. Then there is the Paris-Saclay Universities and INSERM.
Well, that's a very inspiring project. Thank you very much, Dan and Jay Cadalcar. That brings us to the end of this week's edition of Tech 24. See you next time.